Good evening. Um, See if we can get our pals in here real quick. We've got everybody coming on. That'll be just a second. Um, Tyra will be on here shortly, and then we've got Eric and Melissa are going to drag a little bit tonight. So take them a few minutes. There we go. All right. What's happening?
Yo, 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 yo.
Mike is hot.
Yeah, so's the Chipotle bowl I'm about to eat while we're on here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been, I've been go for the last 2 hours now.
We got Melissa in the chat. So you were doing some filming stuff for work today, right?
Yeah, I do on Thursday nights. I do film with two different teams, 6 to 7, and then on Monday nights I do film with two other teams, 6 to 7. So
Nice.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Keep in mind these are like 11 and 12-year-olds. So I mean, call it what you want. It's more of
High quality.
Yeah. It's more of checking a box.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. But I mean, we get like decent. I mean, we get probably, I don't know, I want to say 14, 15 guys, out of 20, so I mean, it's critical mass. So like until the numbers get to like, 4 or 5, then we'll probably stop. But I mean, kids seem to enjoy it, so we'll keep it going.
That'll work.
I see Melissa's there.
Melissa's here, Shane's here, Ando's here. We got a bunch of folks. Devin's here.
Nice.
But the regular posse is showing up.
It's a good posse.
We got all kinds of stuff to get into tonight. We got a lot of good questions this week that we'll get into. We've got all the updates on the training and your upcoming activities for this weekend.
Yep.
What else we got? It's supporting the crew. That's right. Yeah, so we can. I don't know if we want to. We kind of want to wait to do the marathon stuff until we get Eric and Melissa.
Yep.
For those that are here, we will be. Tyler will be spinning the Great Wheel of Fortune to figure out who is going to win the half a shell of Quarter's anniversary tie-dye shell. So that'll be.
I got my computer pulled up next to me too, so I made sure I loaded in like a dummy that I am. Though I didn't log in. I didn't keep track of people's names. I only keep track of people's email addresses. So it's all in here's email address. So we're going to have to go back, and after we find out what lucky email address gets picked, we will have to
cross-reference.
Yeah. So
Ando,
small.
So you say it's Friday at 11 a.m. Where exactly in the world are you? We got Shane saying hoping for a jackpot. I will proactively say that if my name comes up, I will remove myself and we'll spin again.
Same thing with mine. My name's on there just because I had the first. I made sure the first test order went through Melbourne. Nice. I had the first order just to make sure it went through without any hitches. So if mine gets picked, we'll spin again. The one thing I will say is. And if anyone's on this call that may have ordered the Quarter wallet yesterday, and I've had this pop up twice now today. If you ordered the wallet yesterday and didn't download the files like immediately or whatever, Shopify with PDFs, I guess, like once you take the product down, doesn't allow you to download it, I guess, anymore or whatever, which is kind of annoying. So Obviously I took it down so that Quarter could put it on his website. Which is great, which is what we told everyone we were going to do, but unfortunately a couple people did say, hey, I can't download the file, but the good news is I have.
Froze up for a second on us.
Yeah, sorry. If you guys, if you didn't get the file, just shoot me an email and I'll just make sure you get the file, AI and PDF. This way, you guys can go about, using the pattern however you want. But yeah, that's been kind of the only snafu I think that we ran into, outside of the one or two people who got pretty aggressive with me the first day, sending me emails saying that they didn't get what they paid for. Now, keep in mind it was $5, which again is fine. Keep in mind it's going to charity, so fine. But also, like, you're probably going to want to check out before you send an email and say, hey, I didn't get what I ordered. You didn't order anything. Like, you just never ordered. So had one or two of those. So everything should be good, though.
Awesome. Hey, Sean, welcome. Man, we've got Singapore, we've got Melbourne, Australia. Like, it's making me feel a little special. But yeah, I mean, so prior to this, you have been using Shopify, but had never done any digital stuff through Shopify, right?
No, I've never done digital stuff on Shopify. And I mean, now that I've done it, it's obviously super simple. It makes me want to actually learn how to make patterns and whatnot. But it was also the first pattern that I've actually ever made. Like, I've only made my own stuff, come to realize, so, outside of looking at some make supply back in like 2018, and kind of, looking at what their dimensions were and then kind of trying to like simulate it. I've bought Melissa's zipper pouch thing, but I haven't truly tried it yet. So this is the first like pattern that I've actually printed out and did on my own as well, which was kind of cool. And I see why. Like, I think if it was around 4 or 5 years ago when I was starting, because I just don't think there was nearly as many people who are doing patterns now,
Right.
which is cool in its own right. I would have been throwing $5 around like it was, $1, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, I will say I very first started doing this stuff, and I was using those make supply
Yep.
patterns that were free. So he was throwing those free patterns out there, and I made a bunch of that stuff. So as a quick aside, so Shane and Devin, you guys are both in the Toronto area. I know Devin's a little bit further out, but if you guys don't know each other, follow each other and get in touch, because you guys are close enough to meet up. And Baba makes from Malaysia as well, which is a really cool account if nobody's followed that one. That's a neat one too. Yeah, so selling patterns was pretty easy, right? I mean, pretty easy process to Shopify.
Yeah, I think I had to download like a simple plugin or whatever that gives you the ability to like essentially, once you add a product, you then have the ability to go in and like add the PDF file to it or whatever, which was just like as simple as, taking 2 extra steps to download whatever that plugin was. But I mean, it was super easy. I mean, I couldn't, I'm not the greatest with Shopify and computers in general. And I mean, it was pretty foolproof, except learning at the end that like once you remove the pattern as a product, you kind of run into some hiccups, I think, with timing if people didn't do the download or whatever, beforehand.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a relatively unique scenario that you would put something up for a limited amount of time and then bring it back down. But it's whatever. They've got a method to get it. And, hopefully it was just a couple of people at most, and there's a way they can still get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been 2 people, and it was like the people who ordered, yesterday at, 3 or 4 o'clock, right before I kind of took everything down. But yeah, I mean, we're in good shape. I think I've definitely gone back to every single person, and I've probably gotten back to them within like 2 minutes. So, customer service has been through the roof.
Your KPIs for customer service metrics are outstanding.
Right? Yeah, right.
Oh my God. That's a little bit too much of the real world translated to this. There we go. So we got a couple of Canadian folks that are planning on a meetup right there in the comments. How cool is that?
There you go. I just learned that there was another guy. I don't know. I'm gonna mess up the name. Colorado Leatherworks maybe or something. I forget the gentleman's name. I think he's maybe come on here a couple times, but he's like not far away whatsoever in Colorado. So he was actually asking me the other day about like doing something like that. And, you know, I've already met probably 3 or 4 different makers in Colorado myself.
Yep.
But I think we might try and put something together out here. Cause I know there's at least 6 or 7 off the top of my head right now that are all pretty good, like-minded people that could get together for a beer or coffee or something and shoot the shit
Oh, yeah.
about stuff. So wheels are in motion here too. And I know you got something coming up next week. Is it next week or is it May?
No, it's like second or third week in May. So that's Deborah's actually in the comments right now. Glover and Weiner. We're both local to Atlanta, and we met at District Leather years ago.
Sure.
Long before COVID. You know, it's the whole you start losing track of time. So we probably known each other for 5 years.
Wow.
And got together recently, just in the vein of like May the 19th. That's when it's going to be. So our deal will be May the 19th here in Atlanta. But yeah, we've known each other for quite a while and got together and just had lunch a couple months ago now. I think it was like February, maybe January. I can't remember. And started talking about District used to do maker meetups. And it was
Yep.
pretty frequently. And it was more like an open shop. So it was kind of a meetup, no real fixed agenda. There for a while, he would do some specials like, hey, we're going to open the shop on Saturday from 9 to noon. Come grab a donut. You can shop, you know. And that was, I think when most people were just shopping with him online, especially local, then it's like, hey, if you want to come in and check out the actual leather itself and see colors and temper and all that other good stuff that, you know, about different leathers and, you know, all the cool tools he has and hardware and all that other junk that District sell. But, you know, it ended up where, you know, you go to a couple of those and you start seeing the same familiar faces and, you know, you're chatting and all that other stuff. And, you know, we just have kept in contact. And we were talking about like, hey, you know, Bill hasn't really done any of those meetups in a while. And I don't know if he's going to. We said, well, why don't we do something? Why don't we host, you know, an event? And it's going to be pretty cool. We can get a lot more into it, but Deborah and I do a lot of different things. Like, so she focuses a lot on exotics, and she's heavy into the golf related stuff with belts and scorebooks but I mean, all kinds of good stuff. But so yeah, we're gonna do a meetup. I'm hopeful that we're gonna get an actual alligator trapper from South Georgia to come talk to us about kind of the farm to table of gators, which should be a really cool thing. And
Yeah.
because that's, I mean, we all do, you know, leather stuff and, you know, there's cowhide, but then when you start getting up into gators and exotics and, you know, it's cowhide, then shell, then you get into like, you know, alligator and, you know, ostrich, all this other stuff that starts to get really expensive. Like, you think a shell is expensive until you price out gator. And then you're like, it's how much? For how much?
Yep.
And you start getting into a gator skin being $800. And,
Oh yeah.
you know, then you start to really understand like, oh, that's why a wallet is $1,500.
I'll never forget the first time I was in, I think I might have told this story, but I was in New York City for a bit, and there's a company there called Pan Am Leathers. If you guys haven't heard of them, but they specialize in exotics, and I just was, you know, they had like an open shop or whatever. It's not much of a storefront. It's more of like it's kind of like a revamped kind of like office space that they've turned into like a showroom, if you will.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and it was like me and this one guy who makes like all sorts of like you know, what are they called? Like he's from Louisiana, but he makes like high end, like exotic, like sex toys, like belts and you know, all that. Like, and he was spending tons of money on these exotics or whatever. And we got talking, and next thing you know, I walk out of there with an ostrich hide and paid shit. I don't even know how much it was, like 300, 350 or something like that for like a grade 2, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I've done some stuff with it. And if you've worked with ostrich, I mean, it's like a super tough material to work with. It's super, super soft. Definitely needs a liner. You know, obviously it has the quills that you have to cut through. But yeah, I mean, I have some croc here that's willing to cut into whatever. But it's a different ball game. I mean, it's like the pricing on this stuff is just wild.
Yeah, it definitely is. I have not messed with ostrich. I think it's a really cool material. I have seen a lot of video and such about people who have worked with it, and it's a whole process to even prepare it for use,
Mm-hmm.
which is a whole thing that I've never done personally. But that's growing up in Texas. Like your kind of pinnacle of boots is like a full set of full quill ostrich boots.
Right.
Is like a thing. And I've always thought it was really cool, but I've never bought any. But that gets really expensive.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
Denver plays in all that really expensive weather world.
Okay.
So yeah, and the meetup is going to be at this really cool place called the Gathering Spot. That's kind of like a social club. And she's a member, so she can get us access to facilities and all that other stuff. But it's a really neat facility. I think they recently just got bought by Greenwood Bank. But it's a club, but it's also like co-working space, and there's a restaurant and there's a bar, and it's
nice.
It's open 24/7. So it's interesting. Atlanta being the town that it is, like a lot of big movers and shakers are members of the Gathering Spot. And it's because it's open 24/7, a lot of people that are in the entertainment industry use it to have confidential meetings like at 3:00 in the morning, because they don't want people to know what they're up to, who they're talking to, any of that kind of stuff. So they like secretly go to this club and have meetings at like 2 and plus, I mean, people that are in entertainment keep kind of weird hours anyway, but pretty neat. Like the day we had lunch there, like we were just sitting there having lunch, and Mike Epps is sitting right behind us.
Yeah. That's wild.
I mean, because they're all just regular people or whatever, but so that's pretty neat. That's where it's going to be. So that'll be a cool thing for those that show up.
Nice.
Stinger, yeah, Dark Heart's mentioning Stingray. I've never messed with that. Like, I don't think I have a real desire to, just because I've heard it's like, the armored plates, and it's like sandpaper, and you got to cut through the.
Yeah.
Just no. Like I'm cool. Like,
it's kind of similar to, I messed around with a couple. I also grabbed like a couple ostrich shins, which is, I mean, it's definitely not as heavy duty as Stingray from what I've heard.
Right.
But that's also interesting as well. Much cheaper to get.
Yeah, the legs or whatever, right?
Yeah, much cheaper to get legs. Probably like, I think most places sell them for like $30 a leg. And you can probably get, I don't know, I'd say like two to three like card holder worths of pockets and stuff from them. But yeah, it's a good intro into like exotics if you want to not spend $400 on a hide of ostrich that you're going to make 2 wallets out of, and then it's going to sit in your closet for 3 years, exactly. 2 years now. I think I got it right. It was fun. I think it was like February of 2020, so it was like right before COVID. It was like probably one of the last times like I went into the city for probably almost a year, I want to say,
right,
for that trip. But it was cool. If you guys haven't heard of them, check them out. They even do some like wild. And I've done it a couple times now. I think Tuesdays they'll usually pick like some exotic skin, whether it's croc or whether it's gator, ostrich sometimes, and they'll do like a live like 1-day auction. And you can, I mean, I've seen some people get some stuff for like pretty steeply discounted prices doing that way. So it's just something to consider.
Yeah, there's we actually have AmTan, so American Tanning is here, and it's about an hour outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
In Griffin,
it was close.
Yeah, in Griffin, Georgia. And I know Bill's been there, Rich Cogliano's been there, but I haven't been out there. But the super cool thing is usually, and they source gator from different places, but if you're lucky, like for me, I bought a small gator. Like at one point they were running a deal, and it's only like the body's about like that, so it was a little baby or whatever, which was enough to mess around with a little bit. But it was an actual Georgia alligator, which was kind of cool.
Sure.
But and Darkheart's asking in the comments, like, just off the top of our head, exotic that for each of us, like, hey, what's an exotic that you haven't worked with that you would like to? I'll let you go first.
I don't. I could be wrong here, but I don't think I've messed around with Gator. And I mean, the thing is, let me just preface by saying this: I don't think there's one specific that I would choose over the other, because once you start working with any of them, there's just so much extra work involved that for me, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Like, I don't have too many customers or clients, and that I've worked with or continue to work with that really are into it, I guess. And that's just me personally. But
Right.
I guess my quick answer would be Gator, because I haven't really done much with it. I know I have a little bit of it here. I think I ordered, I don't know if it was District or Rocky Mountain, did like some panels, I want to say, I don't know, sometime over the last year, that I was just sitting here kind of untouched. But, for anyone who's not familiar or worked with it before, and I mean, I know, Chuck, you can probably talk a little bit more about it than I have, because I think you got a little bit more experience, but like, the thought of edge painting, the thought of lining everything, that the way that a lot of these, like, alligator and croc, the way that these hides like move, and the temper that they have is much different than working with just like a smooth piece of leather. You have to worry about cracking, you have to worry about where pieces of it line up and stuff like that. Like, there's only a certain amount of yield on a lot of these products, or a lot of these hides, I should say. So that would just be my like precautionary tale, because like the first time I worked with ostrich, I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. I cut into it, lined everything, it was great, and then spent like 4 hours edge painting and watching literally paint dry.
Yeah.
Which is horrible.
No, I mean, that's the big gotcha with exotics, is they all have to be either edge painted or tucked. So you can't just burnish them. You can't just dye and burnish the edge of an exotic. It doesn't work that way. It has to be painted, which is a total pain in the ass, and I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
But I will say that, because I happen to have some here on my bench. I
was
just
going to say,
picked up.
didn't you work on something? Yeah.
Well, I mean, so this is cowhide, but it's embossed as gator tail.
Yeah, that's
so. I would encourage anybody that if you're considering, if you want to work with an exotic, District carries this stuff. I think other suppliers do. This came from District. Buy some of this that's embossed, that's cowhide embossed as gator. And what actually sold me on picking up some of this stuff was when Deborah and I were talking about it, and I was like, hey, have you seen that, kind of embossed gator that District carries? And she's like, yeah, I went up there yesterday and I bought, 4 hides of it. And for Deborah, who almost exclusively works with gator, for her to look at me and go, it's so close to the real thing that it was worth me picking up 4, because I can really work with it and offer like a gator look at a much lower price point to my customers. So if somebody is not willing to pay $750 for a gator belt, you can have something that's more affordable.
$200. Yeah.
Yeah, but but it looks the same, and from 3 feet away, you really can't tell the difference.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're starting to see a lot of that. I mean, I know there's embossed ostrich out there right now. A lot of like the U.S. vendors are starting to sell it a little bit. I haven't personally gotten into the embossed stuff, but I mean, it's definitely appealing. I mean, if your customer base is willing to spend whatever $900 on a belt or whatever you're making, I got to imagine for $250, someone who wants that look or whatever, it's gonna come off a little bit lighter on the pocketbook, if that makes sense. So
yeah, absolutely.
And probably easy, and probably much easier to work with.
It is 1,000% easier to work with. To the point, like, this is, it's two layered. But being able, because the gator is cowhide, you can just, dye and burnish the edge. You don't have to edge paint it. You're done in 2 minutes versus
2 hours.
2 hours or more, in putting 4 coats of paint on and sanding in between, and possibly, using a hot iron to
Yeah.
melt it down and just all that mess that comes with edge painting. Like, it's all part of that whole conversation around luxury. Like, there's a reason Gator bags are as expensive as they are, if for no other reason than just, because making the same piece out of just regular leather, cool. Anywhere where two pieces come together, I can edge burnish and I'm done. Versus, flipping, having to sand it down and paint it and sand it 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 and paint it until it's nice and level and smooth.
Yeah.
Is what drives the cost, because then you have hours and hours of paint time in there. And on something like a bag, you could conceivably have like 20 hours in just edge painting alone. Because you're edge painting the handles, you're edge painting the top flat. I mean, it's just all over that damn bag. There's edge painting everywhere.
Yeah. I will say,
it's just part of it.
I will say you can get away with the ostrich leg shin that I've worked with. I've burnished those edges, like if it's on a card pocket, it's either inside or outside of some veg tan. It's a pretty sturdy and like firm leather, so you can actually it's slightly different than cutting into some veg tan, but you can get away with burnishing that if it's going to be a pocket or something like that. But outside of that, I mean, ostrich backside, the unfinished side is it's like a hairball. I mean, it's like you can pull strands off the back of it that are 3 inches long, and it's like very, very loose.
Right.
And a paint. I honestly, when I've done it, I've cut my ostrich with scissors, just because it was easier to handle than trying to go at it with like an X-Acto knife or even like a heavy duty razor. So. And you got to you're cutting through quills and whatnot, which messes up everything. And then you got to edge paint those quills, which again makes everything more difficult. I mean, I bought 1 bottle of edge paint total in my life for this one project. And I mean, it's probably 95% full at this point. It just sits
here. And I hope to never buy another bottle.
No, not at all. Never will I buy another bottle.
Yeah. I mean, but for me, I don't know that there's an exotic. I mean, exotics just don't necessarily have the huge draw for me, for whatever reason. I mean, even, like the Sully and, Chevrolet and goat stuff just doesn't really get it for me much either.
Yeah.
Maybe just because I reject that that's the leather that's used on, really high-end super luxury stuff. And maybe it's just me being contrarian or whatever, but it's just... To me, making stuff out of the goat just seems a little bit old lady and too stuffy for my particular style. So, so I'm not all that much into it. And you can get into stuff like ringtail and snakes and all that junk. I mean, I think it would be interesting if there were like Florida harvested iguana skins that I could get to. It's maybe it's all depends on the source, right? So if it's something that I could get that was local or US based or whatever, I don't know. It's the part about like elephant. I'm probably never going to use elephant. I have no desire to use it. Although it can be, there's some very strict rules about how it's harvested and completely legal and all that other stuff, right? But for me, the draw just isn't there. There's just nothing that I look at and go, wouldn't that be dope if it were made out of an endangered species? No, not really. And it's, I will say that I've had a lot of good conversations about it. I've kind of taken a personal stance that I'm not going to work with elephant. That's just my own personal deal. But there is a way to get elephant hide that has been completely legally harvested, legally sold, all that other stuff, right? And it's because the same deal, when there's a certain amount of elephants on a preserve, you have to do population control. So when they're ethically harvested, everything's above board, the whole 9 yards. It's just, that's for somebody else. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're,
I think that's, and I mean, I think I'm probably in line with you on this, Chuck. I think there's a lot of rabbit holes that you can go down to when it comes to exotics. I mean, I think the leather industry itself and cowhides and how they go from, where they were to, what you're working with, is obviously a topic of discussion. But I think like exotics and them getting to your workbench is probably above my pay grade. And,
Right.
it'd be really interesting to have like an Amtan or something like that, or someone like that, who knows, exactly what it takes just to get those skins, I guess, in their possession. Above board, like you mentioned, is like that's a 2-hour nightly conversation.
Well, and I think
no
that's
doubt.
where I've had a decent amount of conversations around the Gator stuff and the CETUS process and it's worldwide. It's not just the U.S.,
Yep.
but I mean, the CETUS process assures where the Gator comes from and that it's, above board, fully legal, all that stuff. So it's just kind of the general, pronounced CETUS, spelled CITES. So for anybody that's watching or might watch this later, if anyone is selling alligator that does not have the CETUS tag on it, do not buy it because it's sketchy as fuck and you can go to jail for it. If you get caught with gator that does not have a CETUS tag on it, you can get fined and go to jail for it as well. Hang on a second, I'll get one so everybody can see it. There it is right there. So that is a CETUS tag. And it's got a serial number on that side, if everybody can see it.
Yep.
And it tells you that was a Georgia Gator. This is the one I got from Amtan. So you can see it right there, the Amtan label. But it's not a big guy. It's relatively little. Right. And I've cut this flank off to work with. You can see what the other flank looks like. But it's big enough for some like card pockets, or if you did something right with the tail, there's a lot of good stuff there. But there are people, even on Instagram, that are trying to sell kind of out of their garage gator skins and other exotics. There's the butthole.
Yep. Highly sought after.
Highly sought after. Like, not kidding. There's only one butthole per gator, and there are people that will pay a premium for a butthole.
I'm gonna see if I can find mine.
But yeah, so if somebody is trying to sell, or you're thinking about buying gator, be sure that it has that tag. Because if, completely long shot, is it ever going to happen? Probably not. But if you get caught with a gator without that CETUS tag, and to the point, even after you make something with that gator, yes, Tyler went to go look for his butthole. There you go.
I think this is cracked, though.
Yeah, it could be. If it's croc, it was a lot more expensive than gator.
Yeah.
But
anyways, it's got a tag on.
Yeah, so if even after you make your item out of gator, keep that tag. Keep it in a tag. Keep it, because at some point someone may come back and say, "Hey," and I can't remember. One day we'll get Deborah on with us, but have had multiple people say that like somebody's going to show up and they knock on your door and they want to see, because somebody drops a dime on you for selling illegal gator products or whatever. You need to have those tags to prove that it's legit gator that you've been working with. I think, looks like Eric's on. So we'll see if we can get him to jump on.
I get two of them, sorry.
There he is.
So, we're just going full face now. I'm done hiding.
So the number one question, did you win tonight? Of course you did, but I just want to hear it.
What?
Did you win?
Third place.
Third place.
We went
you slipping?
We won. We have this like streak. We win 3 in a row, and then we just fucking just shit the bed.
Wheels fall off.
So do you win anything for third place, or you just have your time?
$20 gift card. It's like 20. I think it's like 20, 30, and 50.
So you still came in. You still came in the money.
Yeah, we came in. We didn't have a tiebreaker. tiebreaker, which is good because tiebreakers are annoying. And we got the thing that killed us was there was a question about what musical also won an Oscar, and it was like Gone with the Wind, La La Land, something else, and we were all, it was just a bunch of dudes, so we were like La La Land, and that was the one that they accidentally announced was the winner for best film,
Right.
but it wasn't, something else, and we put 8 points on it, and that's what killed us. We would have taken it if we got that one question right.
This is a trick.
So
Yeah.
that's what.
That's where I need my
we don't
wife
have-
to go play trivia with us because she knows all that stuff.
All that stuff. Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
I'm the math and science person. She's all the knows musical and politics and all that stuff.
How do I do that?
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know how to do this whole live stream with my face showing thing, so this is new to me.
Well, that's funny because one of the questions we had was from let me see who actually requested it. From Ian M. Thomas 603 said, "Is Eric relieved that he finally showed his face?"
I don't know yet. Yeah, no, I'm just turning the light down a little bit. I don't know. I mean, a little bit, but it's also like, how did that? Oh, that's why that works. Okay, got it.
Oh, because of the logo in the back.
Yeah, but I also can't see myself, so I can only see you. But then I have my laptop there, so I can see. Take it out of there.
It's wild.
What the fuck? What is happening right now? Oh,
You gotta
you have to Hulk smash the tape.
Look, see, we're almost there. Hang on.
Okay.
It doesn't ruin the tape. Don't worry.
I don't care if it ruins the tape. I'm just impressed you can Hulk smash a roll of tape.
Yeah, I was fucking welder for 20 years, ding dong.
Okay.
Okay, this side. I don't know.
I was kind
Anybody's.
of hoping we were going to get some live footage of one or the other of you riding the floor sanding machine.
The what?
One or the other of you guys riding the floor sanding machine like it's belt sander drag races.
It was the fucking smallest machine you've ever seen in your life. It was like,
It was hilarious.
it was like a 7-inch wide belt. It was like just not
Not
nothing.
the industrial. Now what you need for a room.
No, I needed it was 600 square feet, and dumbass me was like, yeah, I'll take. I was like, I need to just get a bunch of gunk off the floor. And he was right. Like it was the best tool for the job, I guess, for removing the gunk. But I needed one of them big circular ones because of the square footage.
Sure.
And I just, it's fine. It's done now. It's it is what it is.
The big high school janitor machine that they would polish the linoleum for.
Yeah.
Try and
That's what
hijack
I
it
did,
from
and I don't have a concept, like, my last house was smaller than that room.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't have a concept of how big that room is. And the way that this house is built is it's just, like I've said before, like, they just built racquetball courts. That's it. Nothing's in them. So the dude was just like, whatever you want, build your own stuff. And we're like, let's just sand the floors. And it's like, no, you got to get one of those ones where if you let go, you're spinning that thing around until you got to pull the plug.
Oh no, I would 100% be the dumbass with a football helmet on top of it, letting it spin on purpose to see how long it could last.
Yeah, I just
riding that baby.
But I think, I could see that. I could see you doing that for sure.
Yeah.
But to answer the question, I feel relieved. I feel a little more free. I feel there were a lot of kind words. I've always had a pretty intense case of body dysmorphia. I had a very serious eating disorder when I was in high school, which men can have. And it was a little bit relieving. At the same time, it was mostly just due to respect for Kaylee. We worked together for 9 years. I wanted to show how serious I was about it. It was no bad blood or anything like that.
Yeah.
But as you can see now, it kind of just opened the door to like, all right, everyone knows what I look like now, so here I am. That's it. But I still want to focus on the work. Like I don't particularly like crafting channels where it's character based. But if you want to have a strong social media presence, people have to kind of fall in love with you if you want any chance of transitioning or pivoting over time if you need to pivot. the character is the thing that people stay around for. So I'm kind of glad that I've started to do that. It'll probably be slow. It might not be all at once. It might not always happen. But here I am.
Have you had the experience yet of somebody recognizing your voice but not knowing what you look like?
I have had the experience of someone coming into a gas station, this was 7 years ago, recognizing my truck off of Instagram in a gas station in a town of 3,000 people, screaming, "Where's Eric from Quarter?"
Wow.
And that,
I think
that was the minute I decided to never show my face.
Okay. Well, because at one point, I think when I originally started following you, you had some issues with somebody coming and knocking on the door and getting your cell number and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, there's like those websites like findanyoneInTheWorld.com. And I was young and I didn't put my house into trust. So if you don't want people finding out where you live, put your house into trust and then they can't look up where you live.
Right.
And I didn't know to do that. So when you Googled my name, you got my home address. And so I would have people just showing up at my house. And then the first place I lived was kind of okay because there was a workshop attached.
Right.
But the second place I lived was just a house. My workshop was 2 towns over. And it was 2 cottages, and they would go to the back cottage and ask my ornery 72-year-old natty light drinking neighbor if he was Eric from Quarter. And Steve was like 1 beer away from like pulling the shotgun and saying, "Get off my lawn." I love him to death. But like, you know, so when it started getting into the like bothering my neighbors thing, and it was also like, it's a lot of like, I think what people don't understand about people who do educational content is you have to draw a line at some point. And I didn't mean to like come in here and like take over the chat. I know I'm late and stuff.
No.
You can only give so much of yourself. Like at some point you have to be like, I really appreciate that you support me, but there are 300 videos that you could, instead of driving up here to get an answer to your question, like I promise your answer is in one of those 300 videos that I have taken 7 years to make.
Right.
And I politely, again, support, like, I have a product with my name on it coming out tomorrow. Like, without that support, that wouldn't happen. But don't show up at someone's fucking house. That's the only, like, that's it. It's a really small thing. Don't show up at someone's house.
Yeah.
That's generally a good rule to follow for anybody, for any reason.
Just in general.
Right. I mean, I guarantee if somebody were to show up to my house and go, "Hey, are you Chuck from Distance?" you would have a real fucking bad day that day. Because it's the whole part, like my kids, my wife, you know, all that stuff where, you know, it's all fine and good that we do this stuff, and I'm, you know, I'm not a recognizable figure or whatever else, but if somebody showed up to my house uninvited looking for me because of this, we're going to have a relatively large problem on our hands.
Yeah. And I think that's the one problem. The one thing I'm a little nervous about is that I'm a very recognizable person. I'm 6'5", 300. I'm 6'5" with shoes on. I'm 300 pounds. I have tattoos of my logo of, you know what I mean? Like, I look like a hipster Hagrid. Like, I'm not someone that people go, might that be Eric from Quarter? It's like, no, that's definitely Eric from Quarter. So, like, the minute, like, once the seal's broken, it's like there's really no blending in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was the thing I was a little bit nervous about. But so far, I mean, everyone was very, very kind. Everyone was saying they liked putting a face to a name, which I can understand. You know, there's also that thing where you don't want to ruin, like, after making videos for so long, people have an idea of what you look like in their head. Yeah. And if you don't look like what they think you look like, it could, like, really screw them.
Yep.
And so,
how dare you not be what everybody expects you to be individually, Eric?
You know, and like if I were trying to make it a vlogging channel about me, then I would worry about it, but I'm not, because it's just going to go back to leather tutorials. Like, that's the only plan I have. So, you know, it was no big deal. I don't really feel bad about it. I show my face in tomorrow's video for a little bit, and it's a little freeing. It's like equal parts. Probably not the best thing I could have done for my panic disorder, and freeing at the same time. So no one stopped me yet. I mean, I live on an island, so no one probably will. Yeah. But it'll be interesting if I ever go to like a trade show or something like that. What'll happen?
Yeah. I mean, Cape Cod is a much bigger place than I think most people would like to believe. Anyway.
That's true.
Yeah. Good guy.
She's learning that real quick.
Yeah. Right.
Huge.
Like rent a bike, and then you will see exactly how fucking big Cape Cod is. Because it's you can bike 25 miles and not get to the end of it.
Oh, we're 350 square miles.
Yeah, it's a big space. Like to
Like
say
quarter million
I'm gonna go to Cape Cod and expect to run into Eric is probably not gonna happen. It's not like there's one little main street and there's a giant quarter shop in the middle of Main Street.
No, that's never gonna happen. No
storefront
retail store for me.
Yeah, that's that's a whole different level of stuff in opening a storefront and whatnot.
Yeah. So that's the answer to that question. I feel very warmly received, and it was very kind of everyone to comment nice things about my ogreish good looks. So
Well, I'm glad it was a positive experience so far.
So we gotta focus on how we raised how many hundreds of dollars, how many people. We have some shelter giveaways, so.
Yeah, are we ready to get into Boston Marathon stuff?
Sure can. So I guess, now that we got everyone here, just a quick update. Obviously you guys know, but through my website alone, I want to say we netted $871, I think, total.
Yeah.
Which came from 165 individual orders. Now, there was a couple people who, which we discussed, I think, last week, who felt the need to, throw $25 at a design instead of $5, and they got the design 5 times, which I don't know what that looks like, but good for them. Kudos. So that helped out a little bit. So yeah, the total was 165 orders and whatever it was, $871. And I think I've donated 675 up until this point. So my plan is when we get off the call tonight to donate the other, whatever it is, $200 that are left, and call it a day. And I know, I've actually received an email from one gentleman who obviously I've never met before and have no idea who he is, but he's on the team, and donated $200 to him to get him across the finish line, of his fundraising efforts. And he was super, super thankful and grateful and whatnot. And we had a good little email conversation back and forth about, just how things have been going and, plans for this coming weekend and whatnot. And, gave us a reason to chat when I haven't met any of these people before in my life. So that's great. I think at this point, I want to say almost every one of my teammates is at their goal. I think there's one or two people that might be straggling behind. So if when I go on later and, everyone's there, then I'm just going to donate the money to my page and, make my numbers look a little bit better than everyone else's. But all in all, it was great. We talked a little bit about it earlier, Eric, but, I think the one thing that Shopify, I guess, struggles with, and I guess it's fair, but the people who ordered the pattern like yesterday afternoon, before I took it down, had a hard time like downloading the pattern, obviously. So like a timing issue or whatever it is, but I essentially just emailed them back and sent them the pattern that I had downloaded myself anyway. So everyone should be squared away. Everyone should have the pattern. Everyone knows to print it at full scale. I obviously took a stab this weekend at, and this is a kudos to you, Eric, but this is the first pattern that I've actually made from another maker. Up until this point, I've only made my own shit. So it was a lot of fun. Like, I think it's a great way for, new makers to try out new things, or, if you are, maybe sick and tired of making your own stuff, it's a good way to, make something different that you're not used to making and really exercise your brain and whatnot. And it's honestly a great design. Like, I'm going to make another one for myself, just to have for like business cards, probably, down the road, to bring to, different markets and things like that. So, kudos on the design, because it's awesome. And I've probably talked with 5 or 6 different makers who have made it and sent me pictures, and, they've had a lot of fun making it as well. So, that's
just a fun little wallet. And I think a couple people are saying too, I'm gonna throw it back. I'll throw it up on my site because it is a nice little design, but I wanted Tyler to have first crack at it and raise some money. Yeah. But we'll read you links and I'll throw it up on the site. It's not gonna be $5. It'll be a couple bucks on my site. This was for fundraising and stuff. But yeah, I'm just glad you had as much success as you did, because you
No, I mean,
100% deserve it for all the training and hard work you're doing for
no,
good cause.
thank you. Yeah, so that's that. And then I don't know if you want to, Chuck. I mean, I have my computer pulled up next to me. I have everything loaded in there.
Here's
To
the
spin this
shell.
damn thing.
Oh,
The wheel.
there it is. There's the actual piece. So for those that are in with us, that is the actual piece with the big anniversary Ricardo stamp in the middle, right?
There's a big one there and a partial one there, and you got some nice tie-dye blue. I tried to get a nice piece that had a little bit of everything in it, so you can go cut it like this and get blue and red, or you can cut it like this and get something red here, which has some like purples and stuff in it. It's not quite red, it looks red on the screen, but and then you got a nice splotch right here too. So I picked one of the best, chopped it in half. Melissa got one half because she's been helping me redo my house, and
She's
someone else is getting the cut. So
yeah, so let's just do this damn thing, and
Ready-
I will
ready to run it?
I guess I will. Let me flip this thing around so you guys can see it. So there's the wheel.
Oh.
It's got our
Wow.
logo on the inside, the logo of our chat on the inside. For those who aren't familiar, it's only
Only hands. That's our only
couldn't-
hands logo. How about
I
that?
didn't have enough time to rip off an Adobe Illustrator of our design yet, but it's in I might reach out to Primo for that down the road. But I will. Let me just zoom in here so you guys. I want this to be legit because I know people care about this stuff. Right now, it's just based on order number. I'm going to shuffle it.
holy shit!
I'll shuffle it a
A
couple
lot
times
of people.
here.
You guys showed up for this. This is good. This is very cool.
Yeah. All right. So everything's shuffled. My name's not at the top anymore. That's good. And I think I just click on the center here and let this baby go.
Let's get
Here
it.
we go. 3, 2, 1. There she is.
I feel like we need to have an Ed McMahon large check.
I know, right?
There it is. There's the winner. I'm going to take a screenshot so I can cross-reference the name because I don't have the name just by email right.
Spinningmichelle@gmail.com. If you are in the chat, say so.
Spinning Michelle.
And don't lie, because we're going to be able to cross-reference you back.
Yeah, from that email, maybe.
Oh my god, if you're not in the chat, like everyone in the chat should email that chat. Send her, or I'm assuming Michelle, send her an email telling her she just won the half shell. So she gets like 38 emails from random people.
I did not think about the repercussions behind this.
Give me my phone.
I should
And how much of
have.
a deviant I am.
I should have went first and last name, but it is what it is. And Spinning Michelle is going to get this. And again, a phenomenal email address. The one thing I will say that I thought was wild.
Right, if a shitbox Aerostar rolls up outside your house, Michelle, you know who's in it.
Yeah. I decided the shell was more important to keep. And that, you have seen that Aerostar. That is not a shitbox, sir. It just has a dead battery right now.
Them spike words.
It's just not moving and totally non-functional. It's not a shitbox. Don't call it that.
No, it's functional. It needs to. It started out with a jump pack. We're driving it around. It's not my fault they let the battery die. I got to go to Interstate, and we haven't had time because I got sick, then she got sick. We decided to do a bunch of work, then go get a bunch of tattoos, then not take any rest, and then both had a day.
I'm just like not eat food.
Yeah, and then both had separate days where we were sick as fuck. So don't do that if you're a person. That's not leatherworking advice. It's just not person.
I just saw someone say they're going to send a selfie, which is awesome. But I'll get you their information, Eric, so that you can ship that out to them or whatever. I will say one of the coolest thing was like being able to see where these orders came from and whatnot. And we were on at least 3 different continents.
That's cool.
If not more, which is really, really cool. So people from all over the world were buying this, which was awesome. And I'm happy that Spinning Michelle is going to get a chance to enjoy this special shell. So doesn't seem like she's here, but congrats. Hopefully
it is a really pretty piece. I did my best to find like a a real nice piece. So I can't wait to see what someone else makes with it. The only thing I've made out of it, I haven't even honestly made anything besides those 2 pieces, the 3 pieces that we did for the anniversary. I haven't made anything with. I kept a few shells back. Got to keep some on ice, and I haven't made anything with it. So she's going to be or whoever they are, is going to be the first person to make anything with this. I haven't even, besides the 3 pieces we made.
Well, it's like the Seinfeld reference, right? It's who's sponge worthy. Like what's actually worthy of cutting into that shell for, right?
I hope they don't frame it, because it's like,
Yeah.
we're like, if I get it, I'm going to frame it. I'm like, it's material. Just make something with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
what it's for.
Like don't let it sit up on your wall being all sad. Make something with it. There's no material that's too precious to cut into and make something with.
No, you guys were talking about Croc, Croc on. I think when I walked in, and exotics.
Yeah, we were talking about. Well, technically, we were talking about alligator buttholes when you walked in.
Oh, is it a butthole or a pee hole? That's the thing that I always wondered about.
Both.
Yeah.
It's a cloaca.
It's elongated.
That's how they tell the sex of. They have to like go in and feel, right? That's how they tell the sex of the alligator.
I like
That's they like have to go in and feel around. Is that?
Oh, you know what they use for that?
I think isn't it by like length or whatever?
A couple of those stump things.
This is how they figure it out. They put one of those thingies on.
That's actually the original. The original.
Oh, gross.
The original use for those stitching finger things
Was to sex alligators, and then somebody was busy sexing an alligator and went, "Oh, I got to stitch something. Maybe I'll put those on my fingers."
That definitely happened at the Hermes farm for sure.
That's true luxury. Is having a proper finger condom before you finger an alligator.
Do you sew with those, or do you just like have one floating around?
I have those floating around mostly because when I do the metalwork side, like I get, when you get like cuts and stuff like that, and what makes like a cut never heals when you get like brass or silver filings in it. So if like my hands are cut up and I'm doing that stuff, I'll put one on to keep that out of open wounds or whatever.
That makes sense.
I always just use glue, like cyano.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Super glue.
Well, except for a lady I used to work with doing jewelry, like she did that and she thought she was all smart and she was going to super glue a cut back together until it went fucking septic and she had to be in the hospital for 3 days.
That's
just
like
bad luck.
Cleaning their sewing needles with alcohol when they have cuts on their hand, myself included. I sew with cuts all over my hands all the time, and I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
But you're doing like this stuff. I'm doing like, I scratched myself, but I'm still going to sew a wallet, so it's a little bit different.
Anyway, all kinds of fun there. Let me look at.
Someone said y'all just see the line and erase each other across it. Yeah, you're damn right.
That's Sarah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Hello, Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, there you go.
Your wife's my favorite part of Thursdays. Sorry. I mean, I love you too, but.
Right. I love it when other people talk about my wife. No, she's a good egg. She gets the good egg award.
We had a nice chat the other day. I like it.
Yeah. Next time we get up to the Cape, we'll have to introduce her.
Time you come to the Cape, hopefully you have a whole place to stay. That's what we're working on.
Camp when we finally execute on Camp Porter.
Yeah. We found a swimming hole yesterday, like a legit.
What?
Like
it looks gross.
Like it looks gross. It has leaves in it. It's a brackish herring run. It's all just white Cape sand and has some maple leaves in it. And this one over here is like, I don't think we can go in that water. I'm like, it's moving. It's
brown. It's very brown.
It's not brown. You could see to the bottom. That's how you knew there were gross things in it. Logically, you're wrong.
Were there dead things in it or no?
No, it was clean. It was like
Yeah.
clean white Cape sand. I just gotta like shovel some like leaves out, and there's a whole staircase down to it, and like it's right off the back. Like it's 100 feet from where we're sitting right now.
Huh.
And at high tide, it's probably 3-4 feet deep. It's just like a perfect little waiting spot right next to it. I mean, it's not picturesque.
It's totally a bog. That's what I said too.
Yeah.
It's not a
But I
bog.
guess the water's moving, and I'm a fucking baby. So
Yeah, it's not a bog. It's a brackage creek.
That's an inside joke in our family because when we were up there last summer, so Tyler, my son, and I went to the PLL championship game, and my wife and daughter went out, around Foxborough or whatever, and then they came back and picked us up and like, what'd y'all do? And like, well, we went and fucked around in a cranberry bog. Great, so everything is a bog.
True. And also, you always just said everything on Cape is a pond, and you're like, nope. I've had to explain kettle ponds a few times.
What is the kettle pond?
So
what is it?
the Cape was formed by glaciers. So the Cape was basically a glacial deposit of some sort. Now, keep in mind, I have half a brain, so what I'm saying may or may not be true. But it was formed by glaciers, and so you'll get these people with like gigantic rocks in their yard, and then a kettle pond is like a little tiny pond, like not like the size of a car, but it's like
it looks like a lake.
yeah, it looks like a little tiny lake, but there'll be like 7 of them in a row. So you'll be driving down the road, and it's like pond, 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 pond.
And if it's salt water,
No, they're clear water.
Okay.
But those are called kettle ponds. So,
Okay.
and it's all this glacial deposit from when the Cape was formed. But there's like hundreds of them on Cape.
Is that where Kettle Ho comes from, or is that different?
I think it might have something to do with it. I'm not sure though.
Okay. So
So
for
I'm not
those
sure.
that don't know, there's a restaurant called the Kettle Ho in Katuitt that has the most excellent lobster sandwich ever.
Okay.
And it's if have you taken Melissa to the Kettle Ho yet?
Katuitt's like not my Katuitt's like I'm like 35 minutes away from Katuitt. That's like a whole other hood of the
The
Cape.
country.
That's the
I
that's
think
the that's
I
the
don't
other
go
part of
past
the
like
Cape.
exit. I don't go past like exit 9. I'm like an outer Cape person.
Yeah, that's where my wife's aunt was from Katuitt, and she spent a couple summers there. And the Kettle Ho is that side of the family's preferred destination when they're on the Cape.
Yeah, I also dated a girl that goes to the Kettle Hole and then started driving 45 minutes to go to trivia after we stopped dating, so she could look at me. So I probably wouldn't go there like on my own.
The
Well,
Kettle
so
Ho.
the good thing is
I need to roll heavy into that place.
you've got a heavily tattooed enforcer with you, and if somebody looks at you sideways, you've got muscle and that could go with you.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, we do. No, we do trivia in Dennisport, and that's pretty much it. I'm pretty boring. I just kind of stay at home, and right now the big project is the house, but I tend to go from one big project to another and have a group of friends that like to play board games and not. I don't have a drive to have a big life. I'm not a big traveler. I've never had that bug in me to see the world. I just like redoing my house, making other stuff, and kind of being a homebody. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it for me.
Oh, you can wander into Boston if you want to see stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. And even then, it's like I think about going to Boston. I'm like, not today.
Yeah.
Plus,
Well, so-
fair warning, for anyone in the chat, if you're going to come to the Cape this summer, they're doing all the bridge bullshit again. So there is now a stoplight at the Sagamore Bridge, and you will be waiting hours to get on and off Cape.
Oh,
So,
that's gross.
like, there's legit like they have like a movable stoplight that they just put, and you're just taking that corner where the windmill Christmas tree shop is,
Yep.
and the fucking stoplight. It's the most bizarre thing ever because they have to keep fixing the bridge because they keep not approving building new bridges, and I don't know why, but so they have to fix something else now, and so it's down to one lane again. And so you come around the corner doing 65, you see a Christmas tree shop that looks like it was built in 1800, but really it was built in 1975 because it's got a it's like that building is what? It's got to be like 7,000 square feet, and it has a thatched roof and a windmill attached to it.
What did I miss?
Yeah.
Oh.
I am Matt Roach is saying the bridge is the reason I never go to the Cape on the weekends. 100%.
Yeah, it's rough. Like I'd take the other one. I think it's the Bourne Bridge.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go Sagamore right now. I'd go Bourne, and then go along the canal on the Cape side if you're going to come up here or down or wherever you're coming from. But
and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in general, it's, getting on and off the Cape from the 4th of July to Labor Day is a whole different pain in the ass than it is all the rest of the year, right?
It is, yeah. And now that all the COVID stuff's chilled out a little bit, it was like that until from April to October. This year seems to be the first year it's kind of mellowed out a little bit off season.
Right.
But it's as soon apps tell people that the Cape is nice in September, and now there's no local summer happens, but not really, because people know to come here in September instead of August.
Right.
And you're like, thanks, All Trails, for ruining my entire existence on the trail that I've been walking and never seen people on ever. And now there's 400 people with their dogs trying to figure out where to get to see the egrets. It's like, no, this isn't a thing. This is a thing that someone put on this app. It doesn't exist. Sorry.
That's too funny.
Yeah,
I actually I applaud that of somebody getting on some app that tourists are going to follow and try to go to some place that doesn't exist. That's fantastic.
Fuck with them.
Yeah, I mean, it got sketchy. Parts of New Hampshire too. During COVID, they were slashing tires of out-of-state plates.
Wow.
They were they were, because a lot of people from what happened. So I think here's a little Cape Cod info for those in the chat who definitely don't care, but you're gonna get it anyway. I don't think we're technically an island, but it's called the Cape and Islands, but it's technically a man-made island that's pretty big. It's 250,000 people living here. They built a canal so that you can pass through it instead of going around it. But we have 250,000 people living here, and we had 200 hospital beds, and everyone decided to escape to Cape Cod for COVID.
Right.
And it was what in the ever living hell are you doing? And so you had the locals that were we should we shouldn't allow people to use their summer houses if you don't, and then it would, you have the people that own the summer houses and they're we pay taxes. And it's yeah, but you pay taxes to have traveling nurses come in the summer so that they can triple their staff. We pay taxes so that when I need to go to the doctor, I don't have to wait 6 weeks. I've been waiting for my physical has gotten delayed 6 months 4 times, so I haven't seen the doctor in 2 years.
Wow.
Because there's no one to see me. So it's an interesting little weird thing. It's it's with any island community or with any vacation community.
Oh yeah,
it's no different than any other thing. But I think because the Cape is so big, people assume that we have more than 200 hospital beds, and we don't.
Right.
You're getting driven or airlifted to Boston if you're that bad. It's not.
Well, I think that's because most people of the number, call it the number of housing units on the Cape, only a small percentage of those are occupied year round, right?
It's real bad now. I think it's down to it's under 50. I think it's almost under 40% of houses are year round houses.
Yeah.
They in the winter when it snows, they don't plow entire neighborhoods because no one lives there.
Yeah.
And if you want to rent a year round, I rented a year round place for a year, and it was, now this is Cape Cod where the average income is about $43,000, I think the average income was. And
right.
The place I had to rent in between my 2 houses was $1,900 a month plus utilities, and it was electric heat with single pane windows and hadn't been redone since it was built in 1981. And so you have gas stations that can't fill spots, and they're paying $28 an hour.
Wow.
It's insane. We don't have I couldn't go to the gas stations tonight because they just put up a sign that says ran out of staff, closed at 5, and it's a gas station.
Like Clerks.
Yeah. Basically, we just have a total shortage of people and everything. You have
Go on the couch.
Okay.
Speaking of being sick, I gotta go.
All right.
Good luck, guys.
Well, look, you can see now you can just see me the whole time.
Full face.
And my big ass sign behind me that lights me up from behind instead of the front, so you can still kind of have a little mystery. Bye.
Good night.
Night.
So for those that didn't catch it in the chat, Tyler, and I'll audibly say it, Tyler's bid number is 29711. So if you are looking to follow him on race day,
Yeah.
that is the number you'll want to follow.
What,
it won't be the winner.
What time are you? I think I already asked you this already, but what are you hoping to get for a time?
I'm shooting for 3 hours and 25 minutes is my goal. Which would be my fastest for sure. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm the only thing that, and we can all laugh about this, but the only thing that I think it's supposed to maybe rain and thunderstorm on Monday is what I'm seeing. So who knows?
Good.
That'll be an interesting little wrinkle. But I mean, Boston, I think tomorrow is supposed to be 85 degrees, record. I think it's going to be record highs or something like that tomorrow. It's wild.
Yeah, the weather, it was funny because Melissa, she was like, what should I pack for weather-wise?
Yeah.
All of it.
It's April in New England, so it could snow on Monday and 90 on Friday. And it was 42 degrees. I have my phone in Celsius right now, so I can tell her, she'll understand what I say. And I'm not for 3 days.
Yeah.
So all I know, it was 20, we hit 23 today. So whatever the hell that is in Fahrenheit, I think it was right around
70-ish.
mid-70s, like 72, 73.
Yeah.
But Connecticut hit 87 today.
Yeah, no, and it's
It was crazy. And it was 40s 2 days ago.
That's not. It wasn't even that warm in Atlanta today. I think it got up to 62 in Atlanta today.
Yeah.
The whole shoreline of New England hit 80s today.
Yeah, the one thing I'm not prepared for, obviously, is 75 or 80 and humid, right? Because Denver doesn't have humidity like that, and but last Wednesday here it snowed, so I mean, I've been training, I think I've probably gotten maybe 5 runs total that have been above 50 degrees, and it's only been the last week or so. So I mean, I'll take 50. I think it's supposed to be 58 and rain. I don't mind that. No rain would be great, but when I saw it was going to be 85 tomorrow in Boston, I was like, that'll be the one thing that crushes me. There's just no way of I've traded zero humidity. I don't care about the elevation. It's just whole nother ball game. But yeah, so that's the goal, and I feel pretty good about it.
Nice.
So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think just my biggest concern, and this area because you've been in that area. It's the logistics and the stress of just getting around this weekend is the shit that I just don't deal well with traffic. I don't deal well with shit tons of crowds. That's why we moved out of Jersey City to Denver where we have more space. So I'm not looking forward to just Boston's already tough enough to get around in, and now add in probably 1 million people, and it's just going to be mayhem. So
half of them are drunk 19-year-olds.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Marathon
so
week,
that'll be
no
good.
joke with the drinking, with the drunk college kids. They go.
Well, it's wild. It's wild because I was there. So when I was out there a month ago for work, and I got a run in, and Sunday I flew out, and Sunday was the St. Patty's Day parade, and I was the whole time I was there, I was am I gonna have to deal with St. Patty's Day traffic and all the nonsense that goes on? And luckily, where I stayed, I was 10 minutes away from the airport, and didn't go to south side of Boston at all, and it worked out fine. But I'm in Boston twice in the last 5 years, and it's arguably 2 of the worst days to be there. Best days to be there, but also
that's not arguable.
Worst days to be.
Everyone will agree with you. Those
Say
are
the same
the 2
thing.
worst days to have to be there on business.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, we fly out tomorrow afternoon. I think we land pretty late, 11 o'clock or something like that. And Saturday and Sunday, I won't really probably do much. And then Monday, I think I take a bus out to Hopkinton at, I want to say 8 a.m. or something, and puts me there at probably 9. And then I sit around like a bull in the bullpen or whatever they call those things before they let them loose. We basically sit there for 2 hours. Yeah, in the shoot, we sit there for 2 hours and then just go, So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be regardless. It's gonna be super fun. You know, I'm hoping to get that time. Like I've put in a lot of time and effort to prepare for it. But all in all, I think the experience itself as a runner is just going to be awesome. You know, and something that I've always wanted to do. So, but
Do
yeah,
they stagger start times for runners?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the pros I think start at like they'll be done before I start. I think they start then at like 8:30, and they're done in 2 hours, so they're done at 10:30. So before I even start off, like they've already done their whole song and dance with the winners and whatnot. And then I think they do like 8:30, like 9:15, 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then like all the average Joes like start off like 11 o'clock, which is wild because it's a pretty late start time for most of the marathons that I've done. Like New York City, I think we started at like 10, but like, again, I was looking at it and I was like, oh, it started at 11 o'clock, and for Boston was like probably the warmest part of the day. But then I was like, oh, 85 degrees, like just what I want to do is be outside at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like running, so it'll be fun. I mean, I think it's, like I said, highs of 50, like 58, I want to say right now, with maybe some rain, so we'll give it a shot. I'll keep you guys updated, but yeah, 29711. There's like an app that you can track onto if you guys feel so inclined to do that. And yeah, I'll be back next week, hopefully in one piece. At least.
Hopefully you'll get like sprinkles every 2 miles, just a light mist every 2 miles.
Yeah. But like, I mean, the one thing that like everyone I've talked to that has either done it before or is from the Northeast is like check the weather on Sunday. Why are you checking the weather like 10 days beforehand? Like the accuracy is like 10%, like, give it a couple days. Like even it's wild. Like I turned on the news, like the local Denver news, I want to say here last night or something, like the 9 o'clock news. And, they were talking about like the Boston weather and like what the forecast looked like. And I was like, I got to turn this off. Like, I'm just going to psych myself out. So, yeah, it's all good stuff. But,
well,
you guys asking.
But you've actually been training at altitude, right? So anything you got to factor into training in Denver for a sea-level race?
I mean, I'm not scientific enough to, know enough about it to be dangerous. I mean, I got to, when people ask me that, because that's like the first question I get asked all the time is like, oh yeah, like it's going to be super easy for you. And like at the end of the day, it's still 26 miles.
26 miles.
Right. Yeah. So I think really what it comes down to is like, there's clearly a reason why like Olympic athletes and like, the creme de la creme of athletes like live in Denver or Utah where, they're training at 5, 6, 7,000 feet. Like there's a reason behind that. So I just go with that, right? Like I'm sure it doesn't hurt me. I'll put it to you that way. Like I'm sure training here definitely helps. But it obviously has its downside too with like no humidity. And like we've had a really shitty winter compared to like Denver's probably got more snow than like Boston has this year, right? Like we've had like a pretty tough winter as far as, just ice and cold temperatures. Like I've done a lot of runs on treadmills, which sucks. And like the East Coast had like a pretty mild winter. So, I don't know. I mean, it's any of the spring marathons, training throughout the winter months is obviously tricky.
How are your allergies?
They're good. They're fine. I don't really run into any issues with them. I know Melissa's dealing with it right now.
Because we have like it's like the highest pollen count that's like been recorded in the last 15 years because it went from 40 to 80. That's why Melissa's sick right now.
Yeah, that's what
and it went
saying.
from nothing to everything in a day.
Sure.
And everyone's like, I'm okay because I'm like you. I'm a little. I was like, oh, I have a headache. I took some Tylenol this morning. That's about it. But
sure.
I meant to mention for you, if you have allergies, bring fucking something because it's gonna be it's all tree pollen right now.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, like back to the the packing thing. Like, and talking to Melissa about that kind of stuff. Like, I made a packing list. I don't know, maybe earlier this week or whatever. And like, I was gonna bring hand warmers, a winter hat, like shorts, t-shirt, like literally all. I'm gonna have everything in that bag, and it's gonna be carried on the plane. It's not gonna be a check bag because God forbid they lose it. And like, I got gloves prepared. Like I said, hand warmers, like anything from like 30 to. Hopefully not 80, but 80, I'll bring a tank top.
I can confidently say you don't need hand warmers. We've passed
Yeah.
hand warming stage.
Okay.
We never
Well,
hit hand. I think we got like 2 inches of snow this year, this winter.
wow,
Like, totally.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the first year I moved to the Cape was the most snow on record. We got 8 feet of snow in 3 weeks in late February,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
the
Never
Cape
happens.
is not prepared for. But you don't have to worry about hand warmers, I can tell you that.
That's good. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna pack them just to be safe,
Yeah.
just to have them. But yeah. I mean, it's like tomorrow I'll go through the exercise of like actually figuring out what's going to be able to fit and then making the cut on some of those things. But like I've looked back even at like what just like other marathon like historical weathers looked like, and it was like what was it, 2018 or 2019? It was like 34 and like pouring rain and like a driving like 25-mile-an-hour wind, and then then the next year is like 75 and sunny and beautiful out with 90% humidity. So I mean, it's just like that's what makes Boston so interesting to me, is that like you could truly get a grab bag, and that's like again, like I'm not in the conversation of like winning or anything like that, but like the guys who actually and the females who actually like compete at that level or whatever, knowing that they could be dealing with anything is like just so interesting to me, and like what makes them who they are. Like they're gonna run a 2-hour 2-minute marathon on Monday regardless of what the weather is, which is just unfathomable. So
isn't the Boston course like, there's something about the Boston course where like some dude broke a record, but it doesn't count as an official broken record because the course is like, there's a weird thing with the course, it's not an official marathon for like Olympian type people.
Yeah, so like when it goes to like world record tracking, I don't think Boston, and I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's like if a marathon has to have a certain amount of elevation or whatever, like whatever those key points are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have heard that. And I also think it's like one of the only marathons, and I could be wrong on this, but I think it's one of the only marathons that like doesn't have like a purse either for the winner. Like the winner doesn't get, 500 grand or whatever. Like if you won like a Chicago marathon or whatever it is, but it's definitely not a course that people like go to run their personal best, because it is somewhat challenging and whatnot. Like there's courses out there that like people hunt on a yearly basis to like get their Boston qualifying time, right? There's like one in Salt Lake City that's like, I'm pretty sure it's downhill for like the entire race. Like it's like a slow elevation or decline the entire race, but like it's the fastest marathon out there. So people will like go to this marathon in the middle of Utah and qualify, and like that's how they get their qualifying time for Boston, which is crazy and good for them to hunt that out or whatever. But like I don't think many people really like do their personal best at Boston. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I know it's like looking at the map, which I've studied a bunch, like it's pretty downhill to start, and I think a lot of people burn out, and then the last like 3 miles is pretty challenging. There's like obviously Heartbreak Hill, the incline and whatnot at like mile 21, but I mean it's like a pretty flat race from like 1 to 20, so I don't know. I mean, I know I'm nerding out here a little bit, but it's it'll be really interesting. I mean, like I usually judge it like the first mile always is the shittiest, just because there's so many people so close together. That like you probably run like a 9-10 minute mile to start, which sucks, but then it opens up a little bit, and it's kind of smooth sailing from there. But yeah, everything's all systems go on my end, so I'll keep you guys updated on how everything shakes out.
Oh yeah, dude, that's rad.
I'm looking forward to following along and seeing your pace as you're running.
Yeah. Hopefully it's around 7:35. That's my. If I go around 7:35, I'll definitely beat what I want to beat. So that's what I've been kind of training at. So that's the goal. This is like the first, like this will be my fourth one. This is the first one where I can like sit here and say like I've actually not half-hearted it, and like I've actually like really kind of leaned into it a little bit. The first three, like I just kind of didn't really know what I was doing, and was athletic enough and in a good enough shape to like kind of power through it or whatever. But like this one, I feel like I actually have like kind of a game plan, and have like been training at the paces that I want to run, and throwing in like different different kind of runs, so I'm not just running on like a flat surface for 10 miles. Like, I'll mix in, like, I know a spot where there's hills or, whatever to like kind of mimic through certain things. So, smartening up a little bit, not there where I'm like doing like, crazy cross training and, all that other stuff that some people do.
Yeah.
Mostly focused on running, but for the first time I can sit here and be like, yeah, I think I'm actually going to be able to run this time. Like the other ones I've just been like, I'm just going to go out and run, and whatever happens kind of happens, and like hopefully I surprise myself. But at a certain point that kind of like, wears off, I guess. So yeah.
I knew a dude when I lived in, one of my buddies in DC. He didn't train at all. Like, got up that morning and just ran the Marine Corps. Like,
Yeah.
just one of those things. And he wasn't a runner either. Like, just had whatever kind of determination. Like, just got up, wasn't particularly in shape. Just said, "Fuck it, I'm going to run 26 miles today," and he did. Like, that's just
who did that? Casey Neistat, the YouTuber, did that once.
Yep, he did.
He didn't train at all. He just ran the New York Marathon.
I think, yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, he did. I think he did it this year.
Did he do it again? He famously never trains. He just
runs.
And runs.
I know he ran it this year. I don't know if this year was the first year where he just like got off his couch and decided to do it. But it's funny because I had a buddy who flew in from New York City this year to run the marathon, and I think he was actually on his flight because like his wife or something was like, "Hey, like this guy next to us is like, I think he's like a pretty big deal." And like he's like kind of an unsuspect. I mean, he just looks like an average Joe kind of, like unless you like watch his videos, I guess. And my buddy like looked him up and was like, "Yeah, this guy's got like 5 million followers or whatever on YouTube or whatever." He's like a pretty big deal. But he's just like unsuspecting, like scrawny, skinny guy or whatever with a weird haircut. And but yeah, that's funny. So
well, he runs. I know he runs a lot now because he talks. He's been making videos again.
Okay, yeah.
I follow him because he's like the original YouTube vlogger.
Yeah.
Super creative.
He stopped for a while.
He did, but I followed him even before. So Tom Sachs got canceled. I get it, but he was one of Tom Sachs' interns, and I really like Tom Sachs' work. You can separate the art from the artist all you want, whatever. But that's when I got hold of like a tour. I saw like a tour, and this is almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Of Casey Neistat's workshop, and it was very Tom Sachs-y. So I was like, I wonder what he does. And he was a filmmaker, and he made this video where it was all about people parking in bike lanes. So he got like a beach cruiser in New York City, and was just riding directly into cars that were parked in the bike lane.
Yeah.
And the last one was a cop, and they ticketed him for it. And I was like, oh, this is a dude I think I should probably watch. Like, I think he's probably going to do something interesting. And he created modern vlogging. Like, he was the first one to, like, vlog and do, like, to have the huge camera and all that stuff. Yep. I think it was his first marathon that he ever ran when he fell in love with running, when he was like, and I could be wrong about this, but I know there was one marathon where he was just like, I'm just going to try to run a marathon.
Yeah.
And if I walk, I walk. If I run, I run. But then now he's like he's ripped and he's crazy and he runs all the time. Yeah. So I think, but it was the first one where he just like.
Yeah, I had a couple of years ago.
And that was it.
Yeah, I remember seeing him. I remember seeing his videos probably 5 or 6 years ago, and he was still like really, really big and like one of the, still, in a fairly new space. He was still huge. So I can only imagine what it looked like 10 years ago.
He vlogged daily for like 4 years and almost ruined his life. He's very He like he used to be very outspoken about like work, and now he's very outspoken about like, don't do that. You're gonna ruin your life. Like, take breaks, enjoy your family, like all this stuff. Which I like that he has I like when people can kind of swallow their pride and be like, I know I have do more tattooed right here. He literally has do more tattooed backwards right here, so he can look in the mirror and remind himself to keep like do more than he's doing. And then they just like left New York and moved to LA, and he started surfing and it slowed down because he just couldn't keep up the pace. And that's when people ask us why we only, me now I guess, why we only put out one video a week. It's like because it's impossible to put two, like I'm not willing to put myself through that. And he's one of those dudes, but he would vlog. He did 4 years, I think, and didn't miss a day. like 7 days a week for 4 years straight.
What?
He put
I think
out a
that's
full video.
so for you to put out a video a week, I mean, you're pretty much dedicating like what, a day and a half every week just to getting a weekly video out.
I mean, I'm not going to name any names here, but anyone that says that a video takes 400 hours to shoot and 80 hours to edit, and it all depends. I can shoot, if it's a tutorial video of something simple, I can bang out the filming in an hour. I can edit it in an hour. You know, it's a 3-hour thing, but it has to be, the content has to be good.
Right.
If it's a project, you're at the mercy of how long it takes to make the project. I've
Right.
had projects take 3 days. I've had projects that I've worked on in 4 parts that we've released over the course of a month. I've had videos that we filmed in 10 minutes because it was just one clip that was just a fully informative clip. And the thing is, the ones that I work the hardest on are the ones that get the least amount of views.
Sure.
Because it's not that they're too complicated. It's that the ones that kind of naturally come off, people just know. Like, it's more comfortable to watch someone just talk casually about something that they know than it is to watch someone in 4 parts build a bag,
Right.
in my opinion. That's just what the data has shown me. So, you know, I'm kind of getting used to now. I bought, a while back, I bought like a little point and shoot vlogging camera. And with Kaylina gone, I ran Quarter for 7 years on my own. And we were, you know, I did full distribution worldwide. I did all sorts of different stuff. So I'm not going to hire right away. And I want to kind of explore I want to show people what it looks like, because you can run something at my scale by yourself. And I've never shown that on video before. So basically, the videos are going to get more amateur looking, and that's okay, because it's more relatable. I think we've talked about this before, like the minute a woodworker gets big and builds their dream shop, you stop watching them because you're like, I don't have 40-foot ceilings to put a crane in to bring in a slab with my CNC router that someone sent me. And that's the thing, is that like, you don't need much for a leather workshop. If you're spending $50,000 on a leather workshop that's just you and one other person, you're spending money wrong. Like, if you're doing production and you're buying machines, that's great. But like, I don't want to get any bigger than I am as far as production, like what I make is concerned.
Right.
So at this point, it's more creativity. How can I contribute ideas and concepts and different, you know, techniques and stuff? You know, I have the mind space. I live alone, so it's like I have a lot of time. What can I contribute to the zeitgeist that is modern leatherworking, basically? So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I also like thumbnail. I can 3 or 4 frames and I'm good. But I was a professional photographer for a long time, so, you know, that's kind of comes with experience. Filming alone takes a little bit longer, but it's not that bad if you have a tripod and just move it around. It's the difference. I think there's a difference between being cinematic to be cinematic, and using proper cinematic techniques to convey your message in a clear way that makes the piece of content valuable to the viewer.
Right.
And it depends on what you're doing. Like, if you're making a movie, obviously you want to tell a story. If you're making a wallet, you want to just teach people how to make a wallet. So for me, it depends on what I'm talking about, really. And I mean, some days you wake up and you just don't want to film and you have to film. That's just kind of the nature of it.
That's the deal. That's the business you're in.
Yeah.
Right?
But me and Kayleen have stacked footage. Like, we have like 10 or 12 videos. You know, she knew she was leaving, and we stacked some videos. So I have like 3 months of content ready to go. And then I'm working on a few bigger pattern projects, and just stuff that I've always wanted to do that I haven't had time to do, because she left me with a fully stocked, you know, she left and we have a fully stocked web store. We have enough videos for 2 or 3 months. I get, you know, besides finishing the apartment, I get some time to just kind of breathe, be in the shop. I haven't had exploratory time in a long time, so yeah. I kind of need that to keep the mojo going, because it's important. A lot of times people don't like to hear it, but you have to take a break. Well, Chuck, you're a great example, switching between leather and metal. Yeah. You have to take a break at some point. You can't, if you just work with leather all the time, you just start making the same thing over and over again, and that's not a bad thing if it's selling. But if you're looking to evolve your design, evolve your style, get better, get different, get whatever, you kind of always have to be taking in everything from different music to different art to different, like, I bought 2,000 popsicle sticks the other day because in the 70s they used to make popsicle stick lamps, and they go for like thousands of dollars now, and I just want to make a popsicle stick lamp, and they sell patterns for them on the internet, so I just want to like make a popsicle stick. Yeah, and they're sick. Like, look up popsicle stick lamp, like vintage popsicle stick lamps. They're fucking amazing. So now, like,
now I get to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. But like, you know what I mean? Like, and by doing something like that, you're going to learn something, or something's going to come into your head while you're hot gluing popsicle sticks for 3 days about a leather wallet, or about a bag, or about making wet mold, or about something. You know what I mean? That's always operated.
That process will make something click, or some other idea spark into your head, or something else, or, you know, give you that last puzzle piece for that thing you've been thinking about for like 3 years and have never fully either devoted attention to it or got it to, you know, the point where you can actually make it, like making a popsicle lamp, and you're like halfway through. Then it's a discipline of saying, wait, I got to finish the popsicle lamp, because if I don't finish the popsicle lamp and I go off to chase this other thing that I had this thought about, then my popsicle lamp's screwed, and that's not going to work out. And, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are watching that kind of know the abandoned project syndrome of, well, I got halfway through this popsicle lamp and then I got re-diverted onto this other thing. So,
right.
See, I'm okay with that, though. I've always been okay with if an abandoned project is abandoned because it led you to succeed in another project, I'm okay with abandoning a project.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Because it was pretty much all ended up being a part of the process of the successful end product.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway.
that's the evolution, right? I mean, that's how you progress in one area, because you diverted and thought about it in a different way and then came back to something else or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, but seriously, everybody in the chat, Google vintage popsicle stick lamps. They're mind-blowing. Like, it's unbelievable what people do with what people did with popsicle sticks in like the 70s and 60s and 70s. Yeah, so that's I mean, short story long. Videos can take anywhere from 3-4 hours to 3-4 days. Depends on the thing. Like, we're launching. I don't want to plug anything or anything, but we're launching.
Plug away. Plug away. Let's hear it.
Chisels come out tomorrow, finally, and it's been a 2-year process. And I mean, I filmed the video in 20 minutes. It was just, you know, point and shoot, and just, hey guys, it's just me and the camera showing the chisels off. That's it. I wanted to do something more cinematic. I wanted to do something different, but I didn't have, you know, Melissa was sick, and that's all I had. And so you just do it and you go with it. And that's when I tell people, like, we've talked about it, like, how do you know when a design's good enough to sell, you know, and let the market decide and stuff.
Right.
And it's just a case of, like, I believe that I've done enough market research, I have enough experience that I think it's a product that fills a void, that it's not going to be me shooting at 4K that's going to sell the product.
Right.
It's just going to be the explanation and the product going live, and that's it. So, you know, it's like, you got to pick and choose your battles, and it's a much more personal than normal video that I made, but it was just a quick 20-minute, this is what we made, this is how we made it, this is why we made it, you know, that kind of video. And it's 100% a sales pitch, but if you're going into I made chisels that you can buy now video expecting it to not be a sales pitch, I don't know what to tell you.
I'm not really pulling anything. I'm not pulling any wool over your eyes here.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if I can ask this. Just they're chisels and not the slanty irons.
They are olive-shaped stitching chisels. So an olive shape is kind of a cross between, it's like in between a French style pricking iron and a diamond shape.
Cool.
So it's similar to like Crimson. Cinnabrooks makes some, but it's a nice kind of in between where if you want to get super slanty with it, you can get fairly slanty with it.
Yeah.
But if you want, I like it because it's kind of Americana without being too Western.
Okay.
And it's also super easy to use it's a super easy shape to use for beginners because you don't get that sharp edge that you get with like the cheaper diamond chisels.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just traditional, not just, I mean, we worked really hard on they're pretty ergonomic. They're carbon steel. They made them, we made the tines a little bit longer than usual.
Perfect.
So you can punch through, if you want to punch through, you can punch through some thicker stuff. But you can also, if you're a French style maker, you can just use them as pricking irons and then go through with your awl, just like any other set of
Sure.
any other stuff. So, yeah, that's it. And then I made a shirt with a wizard on it that Melissa drew, and it's badass.
I'm excited about
So-
all that. All that.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know. I have some free time tomorrow before I hop on this flight, so I'll be on Buckle Guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate it. Chuck's got some tools. Chuck's. I got to send you the. I got the. Yeah. So I have we're on V7 now.
Oh wow.
Something like that.
Okay.
And I think we finally got that splitting issue down. Like they're feeling real good now. So that's going to be the next tool. And then the quarter pounder after that. The quarter pounders are in production. But because of shipping and like there being 50 boats off the coast of California or something like that.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Yeah, all that stuff. It's, you never know when stuff's going to land, and then you have to get packaging done and all that stuff. So no promises on anything, but those two other products are also, those two other pieces are coming out. And then there's, I have a couple other little ideas, but I'm not someone looking to put my name on everything. I think, like I said, white noise, I don't believe in it. So if it's not something that's kind of a necessary thing that is not available, I'm not just going to be pumping stuff out. Like, my goal isn't to be, thank you guys in the chat for the congrats, I appreciate it. But it's all everybody else. I wouldn't have these opportunities without you guys watching videos and taking us in as your own and following along and stuff like that, for real.
Well, I think, the tool stuff that you've been doing is also really interesting and unique because it's, stuff that you personally have used. I mean, what I don't know that everybody fully appreciates is just the cycle that you've gone through to get to tomorrow, in that you have gone through so many iterations of making sure that it's a right and proper tool for the sake of the quality of what you're going to release, not just I'm going to throw some shit out there with my name on it and my name will sell it. It's
Right.
to truly provide a product that, and I was lucky enough to, come visit you last year and got one of these. This is truly an exceptional piece of equipment. I mean, like I think last week I've got like a half dozen knives of this form. This is easily the best form. Same thing with, the awl. It's the whole thing about you've taken your experience in doing this stuff for long enough and produced extremely high quality tools that do what they need to do and perform at a reasonable price point. I mean, I know I sound like an ad slicker or whatever else, but it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think people don't understand about the leather tool business is like, short of doing what we're doing and spending 2 years finding a company that can even make stitching chisels,
Right.
like it took 2 years to find a factory. That's doesn't matter what you design. It took 2 years to find a factory. So if you see someone release stitching chisels in 3 weeks, it means that they pulled a design out of a factory's book and laser engraved their name into it. That's it. And I'm not talking shit. They're not necessarily bad tools. But if you want to design something from the ground up that specialized, just finding someone to make it is going to take you a couple of years.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I do have I try to use my experience to use it as an asset to make it easier for people in leatherwork, because I think, the one nice thing, well, there are a lot of nice things about working with Weaver, but one of the really nice things is that they were always looking to innovate. And they were always looking to make new machines. They were always looking to make things that made the job easier. They were always looking to do that. And, I think personally they've sort of strayed away from that at this point. And I think Bucko Guy is that's why we switched. Bucko Guy had a lot of really good ideas. I have a couple, you will not believe what Bucko Guy drops this year. That's all I'm going to say. There are some very, very innovative things that they've been doing and are doing that I think people are going to go, whoa, like for real.
That's awesome.
And so I'm not smart enough to do that, but I'm smart enough to, look at a chisel, know what it's like to use a stitching chisel for 9 hours straight, and know how to, for 9 hours straight, 6 days a week for a month and a half, every 3 months for 5 years. You know what I mean? Like I've done that.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and it's
I've tried to make that, if I can use that experience to make people's leather crafting more enjoyable, then I'm at the point where like that's my goal, is to just like the craft's big again. We saved it. It was dying. Not we. I mean, not me. We like everyone that does leathercraft. They have a leathercraft aisle at Michael's now. Like we did it. We saved it, a dying craft.
right.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as I'm concerned, like, yeah, we talked about it like when you were here. Like, I'm not looking to make every single tool with my name on it. Like, there are good edgers. Probably not going to put an edger out.
Yeah, but it was. So my buddy Josh is in the chat, and he's saying, getting to the point where you can do it sustainably and still be accessible is another big part of this too, right? I mean, so yeah, you could make a quarter signature chisel that's $400 a set, but then it's not accessible anymore. Right? I mean, so yeah, you can find some machine shop on the Cape that could probably manufacture them, but not at a cost structure where they would be affordable to more than just a handful of people, right?
Yeah, a stitching chisel set is so complicated. I mean, you'd be in the thousands.
Yeah.
To have the full set made domestically, even at scale. There's just no one said all that knowledge, that generational knowledge, has gone overseas.
Right.
So. When people gave us a bunch of crap about bringing the bottle hook, making the bottle hook in China, and I'm like, I've used 12 casters over 10 years in the United States, and they've all snapped.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's a global economy. I do not care. As long as the workers are being treated fair, I want to make the best product that I can.
Right.
And if that means going to where the generational knowledge has moved to, and it happens to be Hong Kong or China or Estonia or Poland, does amazing machining now. Greece is doing some amazing machining. I'm going to do it. I'm not one of those. I started my business in the Esquire Made in America center fold layout, whatever thing.
Right.
There are just some things that it's unfortunate, but there are some trades that have objectively just left the United States, and fine casting is one of them.
Yeah, I mean,
from my experience,
it is a totally right turn. So Shelby Cobras, right? They were originally aluminum-bodied cars.
Mm-hmm.
The only aluminum-bodied Shelbys, or at least the body parts that are still being manufactured, out of Poland.
Yep.
So if you want a legit aluminum body for your Shelby Cobra, it's got to come from Poland, because nobody here can do it anymore. You're getting fiberglass if you get it from here. Like, if you want a legit aluminum body for your Cobra, it's coming from Poland.
There was a U.S. company that did aluminum bodied like FJ40s and stuff, and they just closed down. It was called like Aqua something Industries, and they just had to close down because they just didn't have
the demand or whatever.
I don't know what it was. They didn't knowledge or whatever, and it was a shame they had to close because.
Guys, I'm out of here.
And now,
all right. Cool.
I'm heading out, guys. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for everything. I'll catch up with you guys later.
Cool.
Well,
Looking forward to seeing it all happen.
but yeah, they left just because they couldn't find. They didn't have the dudes that like whose parent, whose dad had worked at
Right.
die press and stamped car parts, and that was it. So it is
Yeah.
a shame when that kind of stuff happens. But at the same time, as a maker, you got to pick your battles. You got to,
I
are
mean,
you
it's
stuck with America
the
and
difference is
product that snaps, or are you willing to go to the people who can make you a beautiful product? You can't even tell where the seams are, and you can run over it with a car, and it's not going to even bend.
Yeah.
And so,
absolutely. I mean, it's the
that's what I
difference.
do.
I mean, it's the difference of bringing a product to market or having some aspirational, bespoke thing that never comes to market or goes to market in such a limited way that it has no impact, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so I think one of your goals with producing this stuff was to make really high quality stuff at a cost structure where people could afford it, right? I mean,
Yep.
so you can do that, or you can, it's all the iron triangle, right? Time, cost, and quality. So you can make it, super high quality, or I mean, not that it's not high quality, but it's all a sliding scale
Yeah.
as to where it's produced and all that other stuff. So if you say it's got to be done here, you can still get the same quality, but to your point, it's going to be ridiculously expensive. So
Yeah.
what do you
I mean,
do?
and there are whole factories that you have to set up serious machining to make stitching chisels.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like a cast product or like a
Right.
2-axis CNC thing. You need to have like actual leatherworking knowledge for people to even understand the CAD file of a stitching chisel.
Right.
It's insane. The the hammer, I tried to make that in the U.S. and I just didn't get a good sandcaster, and then Buckle Guy took it in 2 days, had like a perfect copy, and I was like, yeah, that works. It's a hammer, is what it is.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the goal. That's always been the goal. It's not. I mean, I think this drop, like the first batch, is so small that I think the way it works is it's like a royalty deal. So I designed them, they made them, so I get a small percentage of the sales, but it's not even going to cover what I paid Melissa for the illustrations. It's like I'm not in it for the money.
Right.
And when you get to that point, and it's not because I have other money either. It's just because I just wanted to see the product come to market.
Right.
And that's the thing that, the most powerful person is the person in the room is the one with nothing to lose. I have nothing to lose. Like I don't care about the money that this is going to make me because it's already been spent making the product.
Right.
And I just want to see the product happen. And I think when you get to that point, to me, that's the ultimate sort of artist statement. You know what I mean? It's not, and I know we're talking about a tool here, but it expands to leatherwork.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing where when that's all you care about, and, granted, don't mortgage your house to try to make a tool that you really think people might like and you have no proof that they will like it.
Right.
With the chisels, I got lucky with Buckle Guy, and but this is not like you don't do this kind of work to make money. I think people need to understand that. As far as like being the name and the face behind it that designed it.
Right.
Buckle Guy will make their money, and they've been very kind to me and generous in what they're, our structure's fine. They're a very fair company.
Right.
But you don't do this kind of work. You can't just exist in the realm of having a set of signature stitching chisels. Like, there's a reason that Al Stolman put out like 500 books. You know what I mean? You got to keep pumping stuff out if you really want that to be your revenue generating
Right.
system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trying to read some stuff that expands to the art and the pieces they will help folks create. That's a sketch place, though. Arrival should never be the goal. I don't know what arrival should never be the goal means.
I think it's the whole, like if your sole concern is shoving a product out into the market, or at least how I interpret that is if your sole intent is to shove a stitching to chisel into the market,
Oh yeah, got it. Yeah. Well,
I mean, same
kind
is
of,
true for selling wallets or all the other stuff that we do, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's
Well, we've talked
buddy
about
can,
that. We've talked about that ad nauseum. Like
yeah,
when the whole folded vertical wallet trend happened with no flap closure, it's like, do these people realize that like 2 months after this wallet is compressed and stretched out, that you're going to flip it over and everything's going to fall out of it?
right,
You got to test stuff,
yeah,
and it's important to test stuff.
absolutely,
Things about us better than before for the folks that. Yeah, exactly. It's that. That's exactly it. Um, and I think we've talked about this too. It's like you have to get out of the mindset of so and so stole something from me, or I'm stealing something from so and so, to a degree where you turn that into I'm building off of the blocks that were set before me.
yeah,
And it's my turn to put the blocks on top, because you can say there's no such thing as an original wallet before. You can say every wallet's been made, or you can phrase it as I'm a contemporary of previous makers, and I'm going to take what they've made and put my own spin on it. And I think that's a much more positive way to think about it. And it's also a less stressful way to think about it, because I mean, I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people who are like, well, I want to, I like this design, but I'm worried that so and so made this and so made this, and they might worry that I copied the curve of the pocket and this, that, and really, and realistically, like that's not ever usually going to happen. It's you just kind of gotta put your spin on something, make your stuff, and build on top of what other people are making,
yeah.
and that's the best way. In my opinion, that's. I mean, I think in the whole art world's opinion, that's kind of how art is made.
That's, I
Sort
mean,
of a very
it's
few
the
amount of
iterative
people do
process,
it.
right? I mean, it's you may be taking something. I mean, I tend to think about like the whole Andy Warhol stuff and the Campbell soup cans and whatever else.
Yeah,
The Campbell soup can art was already done, but he took it and turned it into something different.
right.
It's, oh well, somebody's got a picture of a Campbell soup can, great, but you take that and you elevate it and you do something different with it, and it's no longer just a Campbell soup can anymore.
Right. Well, and then Herring hung out at studio for one day and was like, "Oh, I like what he's doing with the soup cans. I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm going to sell them on $10 T-shirts and sell 100,000 of them."
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's just all building, 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 building.
Yeah.
And sometimes it goes the right way, sometimes it goes the wrong way. And I think leather, for a long time when I got into it, leather was horse tack, carving, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the Japanese dudes had just started to bring it back into what is now, I would consider, modern leatherwork.
Right.
And we have this big community that we have now, making the more minimalistic stuff that we make now, basically. So, good artists copy, great artists steal.
Nah.
That is yeah. Didn't Banksy carve that into a rock?
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure Banksy has a piece where it's that quote, and then it says Play-Doh, and then it's carved out, and it says Banksy underneath it.
Oh, that's funny.
I
I'll
don't
have to go look
even
it
know if
up.
Play-Doh is though. Okay,
Oh, there you go.
someone in the chat Googled popsicle stick lamps and can back me up here. Oh, Picasso said it. Yeah, that's what it was. Someone Googled popsicle stick lamps and agrees with me. So I'm not going crazy. They're not.
Oh,
They're a truly an unbelievable art form. So everybody go out, buy your Milwaukee glue guns, and we'll be back next week live crafting popsicle stick lamps. This is now a popsicle stick lamp channel. We're no longer
right.
talking about their work.
Just popsicle lamps.
Just that's it. Pen cups. We can expand to pen cups. We can expand all over. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. So we had a couple other questions. I'm actually going to go run to the bathroom real quick, but I'm going to start you off with Concentrated Leather Design wanted you to kind of give an overview of the patent process around patenting a product versus an idea.
Okay.
So just kind of the high level of like, okay, so I have an idea for a thing. How does that happen? So how do you get from your idea from a thing to a patent for that thing?
So to patent a thing, it has to be either.
I'll be back in like 20 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, so there's two types of patents. There's a utility patent where you're patenting the function of a thing, and then there's a design patent where you're patenting the look of a thing. You can't patent an idea, I don't think. I think that's copyright, trademark? No, not trademark, but copyright maybe. An idea is, I guess an idea would be you have an inherent copyright on it. So if you write a book, you have an inherent copyright on it because you created it. The patent process, say like with the bottle hook is patented, what you would do is you would design it and then you would file a provisional patent. And it's like $100 to file. And it basically says, I plan to patent this, but I'm not done designing it yet. But I want to protect it in case someone else comes out with something similar. And then that's when you see like patent pending on things. And when people say they have a provisional patent, that's usually what they mean. So then once you have that product finally designed, you have to basically, every time you make a small change to a patent, to a product, you have to redo the provisional patent. So it's $100 every time. So say I'm redesigning this hair elastic, right? And I want to make it square. I would have to file a provisional patent for $100. And that tells people, they look it up and they go, oh, someone's already trying to patent someone's already trying to patent a square hair tie, so I'm not going to even try because they're probably going to beat me to it because they're already that far ahead in the process. So every time you make a change to your design, you file a new provisional patent. Those are $100. The patent itself, once all the kinks are worked out and everything like that, you would then file for a real patent. And the way to do it is to hire a good patent attorney and let them do it, because that's the best way you're going to have success. Now, the two things, you have to decide whether you want a utility patent or a design patent. A utility patent, so I'm going to use the bottle hook for an example because I have a design patent on the bottle hook. Clipping a key ring onto your belt loop is already a thing. Can't patent that utility. A bottle opener is already a thing. Can't patent that. So those would be the two utilities that I could patent for. So I patented the design. What I did was I included a couple little things in that I literally can't talk about, because if you change them, you could override my patent and win in court.
Right.
I snuck in a couple little design things in there that made a pretty good watertight design patent. So then when Blue Moon copied it, it was an open and closed case, because I was able to point out exactly what I designed into my bottle opener that proved that they copied the design.
Right.
The difference between the two designs, the government doesn't want people sitting on IP, which is intellectual property. So a design patent you have for 14 years, a utility patent you can extend, but you also have to pay to maintain the utility patent. So I believe it's either every 3 or 5 years you have to pay $5,000 to prove you're still using it. A design patent you can just get and never do anything with, because a lot of people will try to do is they'll try to squat on patents. They'll patent something just so that someone else can't do it.
Oh, that's 100% what my patent is. So when I worked for AT&T, my patent was of a process, and it was an anti-competitive patent. So we went and we filed it simply so no other telecom company could do it.
Right. So I don't have experience in that. All I have experience in is design patents. And I kind of know a little bit about utility patents, but not really much. And I hired a lawyer, so The other thing is it's a lot more expensive to get a utility patent usually than a design patent, because a design patent search is a lot easier to do than a utility patent, and there's usually, does it look like it or not? Because it
Right. Yeah. It should be a pretty straightforward sort of search, right?
Right. But at the same time, I mean, I'm limited to, it's a time limit. I can't extend the patent on the bottle hook. It's a 14-year patent, and that's it. I'm going to have to change the look of the bottle hook and repatent it, and
there will be some jackal at 14 years plus 1 day that will start producing it, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, and essentially, basically what you have to do is you have 14 years to build a strong enough brand around that product where, the reason I took quarter leather and cloth off the bottle hook and put the original bottle hook on it is because I'm preparing for, I have plenty of time left. I think the patent's only halfway through, so,
right.
There's still 7 years left on the patent, but, yeah, so that's roughly the patent process. I mean, you can get into some details. Someone asked, no. So is that what Mascon Leather was trying to do with his bump jig term? No, that was a trademark. So that's basically, that's like words. So
Yeah.
logos, marks, words. Donald Trump famously tried to patent the term OJ so that no orange juice company could call their orange juice OJ in commercials without paying him for it. He was refused that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so trademarks are just like, we trademarked the term. So when I first started out, Quarter's a last name. So I couldn't just trademark Quarter because it wasn't my last name. And what I could do is file, it's some sort of weird trade, like it's almost like a provisional trademark. And then in 5 years, if you're still using it, you can go under review and get the trademark for it. And then some terms, so because we couldn't trademark Quarter, we trademarked the whole phrase quarter leather and cloth.
Okay.
So at least Quarter had that much protection. Right. Now that I have Quarter trademarked, I can get rid of all of my other trademarks because I have that term is trademarked. No one else can use Quarter, and that's the only thing I care about.
Right.
If they want to put Quarter leather and cloth out, they can't. They can put leather and cloth out, but they have to have another word before it.
Right.
So with IP, that's about as much info as I am awake enough to give that will be spot on. Yeah, the best thing I can, just hire an IP lawyer.
Yeah.
That's it. Pay a couple $100 for an hour, ask all your questions, and then go to the drawing board. It is very rarely worth patenting something that is not big tech or design patents. I am one of the very rare cases where a design patent made sense.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is change a little thing, but we designed it in such a way that it is, I've beat Budweiser, or Anheuser-Busch, I've beat Budweiser in court, I've beat them all in court. We were just really smart about the way that we designed it, that they didn't go over it with a fine-tooth comb, and we were able to point out proof that they copied our mold, and that was about it. So,
yeah, I think the other.
So I do have to run because my phone will die in like 10 seconds. So I hate to make a quick, like an Irish goodbye, but I'm going to say goodbye to everybody.
No, it's all good.
And we'll see you next
Always
week.
a pleasure.
Is that cool?
All right, man. We'll see you.
See everybody next week.
All right, bye, guys. All right, bye.
Bye.